Hey, partner.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for taking some time, Holly.
Absolutely.
Well, you are a busy person. You're a mother, you're a water protector, artist, lawyer, executive director, judge. All of this work that you do, to me, it seems like it's all about healing. And I've learned so much from you. And one of the things that I have learned from you is just to orient toward water as a relationship and to think in terms of relationship instead of like stewardship or dominion. And I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that, from your perspective, what that means to be in relationship with water.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I think you hit the nail on the head when you bring up synonymously healing with water,
Mm.
and because to me, water has such amazing capacities for healing, and it is all about relationship, right? So, as an Indigenous woman, I grew up with the concept and indeed the value that water is part of our mother. Water is the lifeblood of our mother, and we are fed by the earth with water. We are mostly water. We are composed of water. We really need water. Water is part of what keeps us alive substantially, and water doesn't need us though, right? Mm. So with that knowledge and that understanding of our dependence on water, that's where relationship comes in. Um, we need to have a relationship with the water that is one of respect and love and appreciation for not only what she does, what the water does for us, but also for everything around us. We're taken care of in this big, beautiful place, that we call Earth, and the Earth contains everything that we need to live well. In order to do that, you need to have a good relationship with water, and in order to be healed, you also need to have a good relationship with water.
Mm. Thank you. So you were really involved with Standing Rock. You were part of the Standing Rock Legal Council, co-executive director of the Water Protectors Legal Collective, and Standing Rock captured the world's attention. And of course, you were there before, during, and after, the when it became a focal point in the media. But I'd love for you to talk about how Standing Rock has influenced and supported what we're seeing with Line 5 and Line 3 resistance movements.
Absolutely. So I want to make it really clear that the Indigenous efforts and resistance to the pollution of water and the pipelines has been ongoing for many years. It just didn't get the press that Standing Rock did. I've had friends that have been working on KXL for 10 years. Friends who have worked on some of the other oil pipelines since the 70s. And so these are not new things that have been happening. I think with Standing Rock, what we saw was not only was it the culmination of a specific incident where it felt like we could do something about it, and treaty lands were directly involved, as well as that proliferation of 33 law enforcement agencies, that were trying to basically keep people in the middle of nowhere from praying or putting their bodies between a pipeline. And but part of what made that so big was social media. We haven't had social media for a lot of our past movements, and people like Myron Dewey, who we are celebrating this week, and brought to the media and brought to the rest of us in the world the intensity and the graphic nature of what was going on there. And I know I have to credit him for making me aware of the day the dog bites happened. I didn't even, I'd heard something about it, but none of it became real until I saw what he posted. And so that all snowballed, and we had all these people come, and they got invested in the spirit of what was going on there. The fact that it was a specific cultural Native American indigenous community that was set up, sprang up out of the people that lived there, that the norms when you walked into camp were following the rules of the Ochedishikoin, the traditional rules, and that there was this great discussion, teachings, passion, and understanding together that we needed to do something for this water. A lot of the people who are involved in the Line 3 and Line 5 actions came from that camp. You know, we always said the fire there, the fire of Ochedishikoin, which was a sacred fire that was kept going for a year, you know, the embers of that place were spread everywhere else. And some of them spread in areas that had already been, had, you know, protests or had already had actions. But it brought so much more than that. It brought more, the press, you know, we saw press styles kind of being copied in those places. We saw people that came from those camps inspired and going on to do similar things. And then we learned a lot. You know, it was a ceremony. The whole camp was a ceremony. And different parts of that ceremony brought themselves out to different parts of the water fight. So, you know, most ceremonies have 4 parts. And we liked to say that the 4th part was the result and the ending lessons. And I think we see a lot of those lessons in Line 3 and Line 5 and what we're doing today. Some things that worked and some things that didn't work. Yeah. Some ways of being in respect with the water and some ways not to be. So it was very special for that. Plus it was the first time that I think we can say in the history of the U.S. that all of these tribes got together, tribes from all over the world, right, and united on a single issue. And then not only that, but we had, you know, at least a quarter of the camp was non-native people. So we had the joining of everybody in that one place, and that was beautiful.
That leads into my next question, which is it's about non-native people supporting indigenous-led movements, and we're seeing more of that these days, but also it's a big question, and it takes a lot of work on behalf of white folks like myself to gain self-awareness and understanding and cultural humility. But, you know, if you could give a little bit of guidance to white folks who are sincere about supporting indigenous leadership, but also maybe a little nervous about taking up space, you know, what would you have to say to those folks?
Wow, well, watch Seth. He does it well. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see from the best intentioned people who come to our actions or who join organizations that are trying to uplift indigenous leadership is they think they're being helpful by telling them what to do and how to do it. And I think that it's okay to make suggestions, like especially if you have experience and you've been invited to share your experience. But a lot of people have a tendency that when someone is not doing what they, you know, suggested or perhaps offered, they might get hurt or feel a little insulted. And there's a lot of entitlement in that, you know, like, okay, I offered that and just let them do what they're going to do with it. You know, continue to let them lead if you're really serious about that. And don't have an expectation that you're going to be coming in to save anything, right? You're there to help and be an ally. So I think it's for a lot of people, and like I said, even the most well-intentioned people, and even sometimes the most woke people, sometimes it's hard not to center themselves when they're used to being the center of American politics, when they're used to being the center of society. Suddenly kind of giving up that exchange, even willingly, feels a little weird, feels a little like you're losing something. So if you try to look at it differently, as in, well, we're actually writing things instead of the vote being lopsided and collapsing like it has been. Right. So that's what I would say is just sit back a little bit too and listen a lot. And I would say an elder always told me, and this is one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever had, was sit and listen for a long time and observe.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually what the right thing to do will make itself known to you. That doesn't mean don't come and help,
Mm-hmm.
Certainly you should help. But before you start trying to put yourself in a role of leadership or anything like that, sit back and watch for a long time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Chimigwech, thank you so much.
You too.
Yeah.
And how's Seth today? What inspires you about working with Indians on the water?
Last question before we expand the interview.
Yeah.
If you could put any message on my shirt, what would it say?
Be love.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.